Welcome to ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the Phillips 66 Big 12 Men's Basketball Tournament. Kansas City is the place to be right now. What a first game that was. We've got another great semifinal coming your way. The 2-seed Houston, the 3-seed Kansas. But first, if you missed it, even if you didn't, we got to go back. What a back and forth, wild last 4 minutes. And eventually, the Big 12 Player of the Year, Jaden Bradley, knocks down a shot as time expires. What an effort by the Cyclones. But what a win for the Wildcats as they have advanced into the championship game tomorrow here on ESPN against the winner of this one between the Jayhawks and the Cougars. Hi, everybody. Hope you've had a chance to regroup over the last half hour or so. Dan Shulman and Jay Billis, that was as good as it gets.
I'm still a little verklempt over that game. I mean, it wasn't just a close game. It was a great game.
Yes. Really,
fabulous.
From the start to the finish, it only got better and better. Now, let's hope this one is as good. Let's start with the Houston Cougars, one of the best defensive teams in the nation, one of the best freshmen in the nation as well.
Well, Kelvin Sampson likes to come with double teams. They'll monster in the post, they double ball screens, and they have been as good a defensive team as you'll see all season long, and they're led by their guards. Kingston Flemings has had a terrific season as a freshman. The leading scorer for the Cougars at 42 points in a game against Texas Tech earlier this year. But when Kelvin Sampson's team brings it on defense and they get on the offensive glass, this is a really difficult team to beat that is Final Four good.
A nominee for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Sooner, hopefully, than later, Kelvin Sampson will be in that Hall of Fame. As for Kansas, Darren Peterson played a season-high 37 minutes last night in the quarterfinal win over TCU, scored 24 points to beat the Cougars. They need a big night from Darren Peterson.
Well, his last 6 games, Darren Peterson is averaging 32 minutes a game, 20 points and 6 rebounds. He can knock down threes. He's good in the mid-range, and he is getting downhill and getting to the free throw line more than ever this season. He is going to be the primary target of this Houston defense.
Let us say hello again to Chris Budden.
It's not just Darren Peterson. Trey White was really the one who could not miss when these two teams met 2.5 weeks ago. White putting up 23 points in Kansas's win over Houston, and since then averaging over 16 points per game. The KU staff telling me it's about discipline for him and just his shot selection. Bill Self disappointed, thought it was a snub that White did not make the Big 12 honorable mention team. Said not enough people across the league are paying attention to what this guy does offensively and defensively, Dan.
And I think the Hall of Famer Bill Self has a great point. This is not just a Darren Peterson team. Trey White has had a great year. Melvin Council Jr. has had some big games for the Jayhawks, and Flory Badunga has gotten so much better, the defensive player of the year in the conference. There is a lot of talent around Darren Peterson.
Well, Flory Badunga has been the most valuable player of this Kansas team. The way he controls the glass and the way he blocks shots. Second in the country in block shots. When he's on the floor, this Kansas defense is formidable. If he gets in foul trouble, that's when Kansas can struggle.
And Houston, of course, has a lot of talent around Kingston Flemings as well, including a senior, a guy who it feels like he's been there forever, in Emmanuel Sharp. He was the most outstanding player in this tournament, in this building, last year when the Cougars won it. We are here in Kansas City, so obviously it will be a largely pro-Jayhawks crowd. But we'll see how it goes between Houston and Kansas. As Chris mentioned, Kansas beat Houston February 23rd in Lawrence, 69-56. And that was the third game of a real rarity for Kelvin Sampson, a 3-game losing streak. But since then, they have bounced back to win 4 in a row. Houston in white, Kansas in blue. Kip Kissinger, Tony Padilla, Brooks Wells, our officials tonight. And we're underway. It'll be the Cougars to open it up.
Melvin Council Jr. of Kansas guarding Kingston Flemings, the leading scorer for Houston to start out this game. But Kansas will switch.
Darren Peterson starts on a Milos Uzan. Now Joseph Tugler into the paint with the left. Knocked away by Badunga and saved by Peterson.
A lot of contact on that shot. But Kelvin Sampson wanting to go inside and see if he can pick up a foul on Badunga to start.
The last few weeks, Peterson has been playing more minutes more consistently than he was earlier in the year.
Kansas has to pass out of these double teams and get downhill into the paint to force help and play out of it.
Peterson can't get downhill, finds Tiller. Shot clock's at 4. Council elevates. And the jumper, the rebound down to Uzan.
Boy, tough shot fading against Kingston Flemings. Those are the kind of shots that Houston can force toward the end of a clock.
Flemings averaging 16.5 points per game. He's also the assist leader on this team at better than 5 a game. Spinning is Tugler, and it goes.
Tugler just went right into the chest of Badunga, knocked him back so that he couldn't jump to block that shot.
Two outstanding defensive big men in Tugler and Badunga.
Well, JoJo Tugler, there's a steal by Kingston Flemings. JoJo Tugler was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last year, all defensive team this year. He can change games with his length and his presence.
Chris Cenac Jr. misses the jumper. Cenac, a freshman, projected as a likely late first-round pick, maybe a little bit higher than that. Shot fake Peterson, Sharp doesn't bite. Peterson drives, elevates, left it short, and it's Uzan out of the pack.
Boy, awfully difficult shot for Darren Peterson for his first of the game. Manuel Sharp switched out on him. Manuel Sharp is all defensive team as well. He's an underrated defender. You talk about his scoring all the time, but he can guard.
Turnaround Cenac. Great rebound by Tugler. Flemings the penetration, the feed to Cenac for the flush.
All set up by the shot fake by Kingston Flemings for the right-hand drive. Drew the defense and kicked it off to Cenac for the dunk.
And
Beautiful.
Bill Self is hot. 2 minutes and 17 seconds in. He will use a timeout to try to get it turned around here early for the Jayhawks. Bill Self in his 23rd season as the head coach at Kansas, 2 national championships and 9-time Big 12 tournament champion. 2-3 against Houston since the Cougars arrived in the Big 12.
Bill Self not happy with his team and their physicality on the glass already. Houston with some offensive rebounds.
Council, and it's knocked away by Cenac.
Good pass out of the double.
Peterson driving on Sharp, and he draws the foul. And Darren Peterson, when he puts the ball on the deck, he is elite at getting fouled on his way to the rim.
Well, that's where he has really improved, is trying to get downhill and not just rely upon that jump shot. Against TCU, he had 16 free throw attempts. He had 24 points. 13 of those points came from the foul line.
Because he missed a fair bit of time during the regular season, played in 21 of the 32 games. Even though this guy could very well be the first pick in the draft, he was a second team all Big 12 player, and there are 10 players on the first team, but he just missed so much time. And there are so many great players in this league. But if they get the best of him, he can keep them in a game with anybody. The screen by Tugler. Good show by Badunga.
Boy, that show moved Milos Uzan back. Kansas is a very good defensive team.
Uzan with a deep 3.
Boy, a great screen by JoJo Tugler to free up Uzan.
Houston comes in 27-5, finished second in the league at 14-4. They are 8 in the net. 9-5 in quad 1. They've got some big wins, and as always under Kelvin Sampson, they're a very good defensive team. Floater off the glass, no. Tip, no. Tiller blocked by Tugler.
JoJo Tugler is a big-time defensive player with those long arms. And he is a live body.
And Kingston Flemings was backpedaling before that ball went through. He knew he had made it.
We saw him get 42 in Lubbock against Texas Tech. He can score.
And he takes it away again. Can't finish. Bedunga the rebound. But this is about as bad a start as Bill Self could ever imagine for his team through the first 4 minutes. They're having trouble just making passes, never mind getting good looks.
They really have to run offense with pace so they can get Houston chasing.
Tiller, that's a tough shot.
Every shot that Kansas has had to start this game has been difficult. Houston's defense has been on point. They're physical. Their help is there. They will trap ball screens and exchanges and trap the post.
Cenac for three. And Bill Self can hardly believe what he is seeing right now.
You know, Chris Cenac Jr., he only shoots 32% from three, but that's his 26th three on the season.
Cenac and Tiller, a great matchup of two guys at the power forward spot, both freshmen, both extremely talented, as is that guy. Peterson's got all five for the Jayhawks.
Boy, Milos Uzan went underneath that screen. You just cannot go under on Darren Peterson. He's going to pull and hit that three. You got to make him into a two-point shooter.
Tugler trying to find Sharp, and it's swatted away and out of bounds by Tiller to take us to a timeout. We talked about Flemings and Peterson, Jay, and they're both off to good starts.
Well, both Kingston Flemings and Darren Peterson were wired to score at birth. And Kingston Flemings, little step back over a really good defender in Melvin Council Jr. And then you go under on Darren Peterson and ring it up.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
At Wendy's.
We often praise the Houston defense, and rightfully so, but offensively, Houston is off to a great start. Milos Uzan, you get caught on a screen, he nails a three. Kingston Flemings is the trail guard, and they're not guarding Chris Cenac Jr. That's called a dare shot, where I dare you to shoot. And Chris Cenac Jr. made Kansas pay. And Dan, Kansas on the offensive end has been forced into a lot of tough shots and a lot of tough twos. In fact, Darren Peterson has all of Kansas's 5 points. Made that three when Uzan went under the screen and knocked down a couple free throws, and that has been it for the Jayhawks.
Down 8 early, Arizona awaits the winner in the Big 12 championship game tomorrow night. Khalifa Sacco, number 14, is into the game for Houston. A grad transfer, played at Sam Houston State last year. And Chase McCarty, number 24, who's become a pretty big part of this team. That's him with the ball. He is fortunate to get away with that. Shot clock was running down, and it's off the side of the backboard. But Chase McCarty made a big three late in their game last night in their quarterfinal win over BYU, and he had 6 threes and 20 points against Oklahoma State last Saturday.
Chase McCarty also had 6 rebounds in that game against BYU, and that was a big factor in the win as well.
Jamari McDowell with the ball is checked in off the bench for Kansas. Peterson.
Good switch by Houston.
The size of Sacco deterring the shot attempt there of Peterson. Trey White elevates from the elbow, but again, a tough shot.
Everything has been contested. And you really haven't seen much penetration of the lane because of this Houston defense.
Houston is 6th in the nation in defensive efficiency per KenPom. Steal by Peterson. The lob and the finish for White to make it 13-7 just to finish the point. Houston has been in the top 10 in defensive efficiency each of the last 6 years. You don't play defense, you don't play for Kelvin Sampson.
Well, it's like you're a member of SEAL Team 6. I mean, their practices are epic.
Kingston Flemings, as good of a mid-range jumper guy as there is in the college game.
Well, there's not a shot inside the arc that Kingston Flemings cannot make. Such a confident scorer.
Hard to believe he's a freshman. Badunga the handoff for Council.
He'd be pretty good as a senior.
I'm not sure we're going to get that opportunity. Houston by 8 with the ball, just over 7 minutes in.
But Kelvin Sampson was really upset by that use-on turnover that led to a bucket for Kansas, because Kansas can't score in the half court right now. You give them something easy just by leaving the floor without having a plan.
We saw Flemings score 42 against Texas Tech earlier this year, although the Red Raiders won the game. That jumper's short. Here comes McDowell. Here comes Council.
Good defense by Peterson on that switch to take Flemings.
Boy, White looked like he wasn't expecting that pass, but Badunga needed to find somebody. White did well to catch it. And Council was standing out of bounds when he caught the pass.
Anytime that Houston brings that double, you got to pass out of that right away. Kansas did it, but wound up turning it over because Melvin Council Jr. wasn't completely aware of where he was vis-a-vis the sideline.
Uzan out. Mercy Miller is into the game, the sophomore from Los Angeles, who's become a bigger part of the rotation recently for the Cougars.
Mercy Miller is a good wing defender. He's a top 50 recruit out of Los Angeles.
Averaging about 11 minutes per game, but again playing more recently. Here's Sharp. So much experience. 4-year guy in Houston. Ooh, he fell down. Looked like he caught a shoe, but he appears to be all right. Back to his feet. And a double dribble is the call on McCarty. 15-7 Houston over Kansas. 8-19 into this one here in semifinal 2. You got to believe Kansas needs a big night from Darren Peterson. He is off to a good start at both ends of the floor. 5 points, an assist, a steal. But Kingston Flemings leading the way, as he so often does for the Cougs.
You can feel it in your chest, in the building. Pulse racing, arena shaking.
Oh yeah!
Champ Week.
I'll tell you, there was a lot of pulse racing and arena shaking in that first game tonight. As good a game as you will see. Arizona by 2 over Iowa State. Now we've got Kansas and Houston in the second semifinal. The Jayhawks have won twice as many Big 12 tournament championships as anybody else. Iowa State at 6. Now, of course, Houston's only been in the league a couple of years. This is year 3, and this is so impressive. Houston comes into the league, and under Kelvin Sampson, in their first 3 years, including this year, they win 2 regular season titles. Last year, they win the tournament championship. The year before, they made it to the final. They just stepped right in, and Kelvin Sampson just kept on doing what he always seems to do. Let's go to Chris.
We saw the reaction from Kelvin Sampson in the Milos Uzan turnover. He was still harping on that in the timeout, and then frustrated by the offense. He said, guys, we're not one-on-one players. We can't expect Emmanuel Sharp to do things all by himself.
Well, he's getting some help. Emmanuel Sharp is right now from Chris Cenac Jr. Jay, he's got 8 points. That's his second 3.
Well, Kansas put 2 on the ball, and then Flory Badunga had a tough time finding Cenac Jr. after he left the ball. And Cenac Jr., if you're going to lay off him, he's going to shoot that all night.
Houston is 4 for 4 from 3-point range. Bryson Tiller tries to answer but can't. But we've got a Houston foul. I think it's Tugler.
It is Tugler. Yeah. He just grabbed Flory Badunga. But Flory Badunga helps out right here, and then he turns around, and all of a sudden Chris Cenac Jr. is already into a 3-point shot, and he just waltzed into that. Talk about a rhythm 3.
Doesn't Houston look so much more comfortable running their offense than the Jayhawks have looked so far trying to run theirs?
Well, they don't have as much pressure on them. And the thing that Houston has done really well, their recoveries. You know, when they've put 2 on the ball, when they trap off a ball screen or exchange, they cover up for one another. It's never going to be perfect, But they play so hard and communicate so well that they shut down any opening, and then Kansas winds up taking really tough twos toward the end of a clock.
Which they may be forced into again. Council, no. Follow, yes, by Tiller.
Nobody boxed out Bryson Tiller. He was up by the free throw line, and Chris Cenac Jr. didn't turn to put a body on him, and Kelvin Sampson is wearing out his bench over that, and they're looking at him going, hey, we didn't do it. Yell at him.
Houston the 2 seed, Kansas the 3. Joe Lunardi has Houston as a 2 in the NCAA tournament, Kansas as a 4. Council, Bedunga, yeah. Kelvin Sampson making the call right alongside the official Tony Padilla.
Chris Cenac Jr. read that so well. He was moving on the flight of the ball, and he met Bedunga outside of the lane and forced that walk. That's just outstanding help defense by Chris Cenac Jr.
Again, always a good defensive team under Sampson. You think about Juwan Roberts, you think about Jamal Shedd. I mean, they've always had guys who can really guard.
Xavier Francis, too.
Yep. Sharp misses the 3. Another rebound for Tugler.
If you don't have a body on JoJo Tugler and he gets a run up, those long rebounds are difficult.
What a great pass by Flemings. Tugler left it short.
Darren Peterson needs to be ultra aggressive in this game.
Like that? You project your voice much better than I realized.
When a team like Kansas is struggling to score, you've got a weapon out there in Peterson, and he needs to take over when things get tough.
He's got 8 of their 12. Miller baseline. Tugler got pushed back by Bedunga, and again, and now he leads with the elbow to get some territory, but he couldn't hit it. It's going to be physical between Joseph Tugler and Flory Bedunga.
Flory Bedunga is a spectacular defender.
Tiller being physical, but he left it short.
Bryson Tiller has improved so much over the course of the year. When he got to Kansas, he was a perimeter-oriented big guy.
Cenac hacked by Bedunga. Let's listen in on the last Kansas huddle.
You haven't got a paint touch yet, Mel. All right, we got to get some paint touches. All right. Hey, our defense isn't bad. They made some hard shots. We let their guards get going. Our defense isn't bad. And then drive that sucker. We need paint touches. Play behind the paint touches, okay? All right, guys, we're okay. We're okay.
So you hear the emphasis. It's on the offense, and it's on getting that ball into the paint, Jay.
Well, they want to get downhill, but to do that, you have to move this defense. You have to go side to side, pass out of these doubles, and then attack. And then you can attack the help. And once you put Houston to help, they're rarely in scramble. This is a very disciplined help team. And you can really get out and pressure the ball when you trust your help as much as they do.
The under 8 media timeout not that far away. Bill Self giving Darren Peterson a bit of a breather. He's gone to the bench. Flory Bedunga as well. Trey White has returned.
Well, you can see Bedunga was a little bit tired toward the end of that last sequence. Got a size advantage here on Marco Jackson.
Cenac, though, kicks it out to Miller off the glass and good.
JoJo Tugler just screened off Bryson Tiller. He was late getting there. That just opened up a driving lane for Mercy Miller.
Well, Marco Jackson, he's kind of had an up and down year, but in certain games he's been a big part of Kansas's success. Into the paint, right through it. McDowell with a corner 3 that'll go.
Just that paint touch there, and all of a sudden Houston loses an assignment, and Jamari McDowell wide open in the left corner.
And that's why Bill Self was clapping his hands. They did what he asked them to do, and it worked.
Problem is, it's been tough to get by the initial defender.
Tugler just staying with it and outlasting Tiller.
He just pivoted right around, and Tiller gave up between Tugler and the basket, trying to take away everything. If he passes it out, who cares? You can't give him an angle to the basket.
Council. Line drive 3 is short. Cenac the rebound.
And no offensive rebounds available. Houston's guards do a great job of cracking down to rebound.
Cenac with the mid-range jumper, and he is into double figures already.
Just getting better and better. It's that high release. It's so difficult to bother.
Council the kick. Jackson the extra pass. White no, and again nobody on the glass for Kansas.
Outstanding recovery by Emmanuel Sharp to put pressure on that shot.
Uzan will bank it home, and it's an 11-point lead now for the Cougars. That matches their largest lead of the game.
And Milos Uzan has a lot of shake to his game. Started his career at Oklahoma.
The Houston bench wanted a travel there. Did not get the call. Jackson driving by Cenac. The reverse goes. That was nice.
Well, Marco Jackson was a huge reason that Kansas was able to beat TCU. He made 10 out of 10 from the foul line in that game.
They got all they could handle from the Frogs. They were behind for a lot of that game. Wound up beating them by 5.
Well, TCU's a good basketball team. David Punch can play.
Houston to beat BYU by 7 to get here. How about A.J. Devonsa scored, what was it, 93 points in 3 games? Cenac not this time.
Well, one thing that Houston doesn't want to do is settle for jump shots. Good pass.
Council back to White. Good look. Can't hit it.
That was Trey White playing behind the penetration.
A very good three-point shooter. 43% on the season.
Yeah, he's an efficient player, and he's had a great year. I think his shooting was somewhat of a surprise to Kansas when they recruited him.
Well, his number is 3. His nickname is Trey. His dog's name is 3. I think it's a big part of his life, and he has shot the ball very well this year. But nobody is shooting the ball better than Chris Cenac Jr. right now.
Kansas may need to make an adjustment. They are playing way off Chris Cenac Jr., and he has not hesitated and has made the Jayhawks pay.
It is Houston off to a great start here in Kansas City. I think we've got time at halftime to go get some of that.
Free.
Chris Cenac Jr., a top 10 recruit, a projected first-round pick. As you mentioned earlier, Jay, they kind of left him open out there sometimes, and he has made them pay.
Yeah, they've left him open most of the time trying to clog the lane up. But Chris Cenac Jr., 6'11" from New Orleans. He's always active on the glass, especially the defensive glass. He's a good offensive rebounder as well. He had 10 points and 7 rebounds against BYU, going 5 of 6 from the field. And had one of his best games against Arizona. He had 13 rebounds against the Wildcats to go with 10 points. But he's got 13 in this one already.
Chris Budden was in and around the Kansas huddle. Chris.
Yeah, Bill Self saying that Cenac's just playing otherworldly, but we got to get better on the offensive end. We got to drive into the paint. And when our perimeter guys take shots, we're nowhere to be found offensive rebound-wise. He's like, you got to go to the glass when our perimeter guys put shots up.
Let's see if they are able to do either of those things. They almost turn it over. Will anybody try to drive it into the paint?
It's a lot of catch and hold.
Yep. Jackson the drive and kick. That's what Bill Self wants.
But the one thing that Kansas didn't do there was panic as they got toward the end of the clock. You know, Marco Jackson with the left-hand drive that collapsed the defense so he could kick it out.
Kansas 4 for 8 from three-point range. Houston 5 for 7. Miller driving on White. Blocked. Kansas in transition. Council. And Badunga runs it down.
Badunga has terrific feet.
Peterson's been quiet the last several minutes after a hot start. White's open. Boy, 2 good looks at a 3-ball for the Jayhawks on that trip. They come up empty.
And as rough as it's been for Kansas on the offensive end, they're only 3 possessions down. It feels like it's more. Got the switch now. Uzan guarded by Badunga.
Inside 10 on the shot clock. Uzan struggling with it, finds Flemings. into the paint. And what a rebound by Peterson.
And what great defense by Flory Badunga. He switches out on a guard and still able to bother that shot at the rim.
Peterson forces it, and a late whistle. And he will head to the free throw line when we come back. 2:47 in the first half. Cougars by 9. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team.
There have certainly been offensive stars for Houston in this game, but the overall star has been the Houston defense. They are active with their hands. They are anticipating. They are all on a string. Their help side defense is playing the ball. Look at Chris Cenac Jr. under the basket. As soon as Flory Badunga comes out of this pick and roll, he is there on the catch, moving as the ball moves. And they're moving on the flight of the ball. This is an outstanding defense that communicates very well. And they, the idea that they play the ball, they're not playing their man. They see their man, but they're playing the ball, and the ball tells them the right position to be in help side. And there's one of the best defensive coaches, the best coaches, period. But the best defensive coaches I've ever been around, Kelvin Sampson, a finalist for the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame.
For the first time, and I think somebody everybody believes should and will, again, hopefully sooner rather than later, join Bill Self in the Naismith Hall of Fame.
He will be in the Naismith Hall. I think the only question is, what is his bust going to look like? Is he going to be yelling or smiling?
A 7-point game after the free throws by Peterson, who's now got 10.
And Kansas is hanging in there when things aren't going well offensively. The Jayhawks are continuing to guard. Boy, when you have Flory Badunga on the floor, your defense is automatically tough.
Shot clock running down. Flemings gets the shot off, and it's not in time, the officials say. Two officials at the same moment, Kip Kissinger and Brooks Wells, both said not in time, shot clock violation, and they were correct.
So even though it didn't count, what a heady play by Chris Cenac Jr. One thing Kansas can't keep doing, they can't keep catching and holding. They got to catch and go.
A lot of passing around the perimeter. And remember, we've mentioned a couple of times, Bill Self wants drives into the paint. Fumbled and recovered, but the shot clock now a factor.
Got to shoot it.
Does Badunga know it? He does, and he got fouled.
Boy, that was not a smart play by JoJo Tugler, who's usually a smart player. You got him corralled with the shot clock going down. Just force the tough two.
So Badunga for 2, a 67% free throw shooter. 2 on Tugler. Badunga, great shot blocker. He's improved his passing. He's improved his offensive game as a whole this year. A minute 46 away from the Sargento halftime report as Reese Davis, Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg will look back at that phenomenal first game between Arizona and Iowa State. What's going on in the ACC, in Charlotte, SEC, Big Ten, you name it, they got it.
Jay Williams looks like a professor's assistant for a philosophy class with that turtleneck on. Does he not own a tie?
He owns a lot of turtlenecks, we know that. 1 for 2 in a 6-point game. The winner to face Arizona in the Big 12 championship game. As you can see, it'll be right here on ESPN, 6 Eastern, 5 Central tomorrow. Flemings off to Cenac, who's been the big story here in the first half. Again, late into the shot clock, and a foul.
Darren Peterson just had his hands on Flemings when he went down. I don't think that's what caused it, but you're going to get that call. He comes up to double and switch out. And he switches up, but his hands on the ball handler is an automatic call.
Just the second team foul on Kansas, and Houston only has 4.
Now, this is an important steal.
Peterson will slam it. And Kansas right back in it.
Boy, the turnovers are affecting Houston. A couple of turnovers that led to easy scores when it's been so difficult in the half court for Kansas to score.
Peterson had 4 steals last night. He's got a couple already tonight. And the Jayhawks are on an 8-0 run. Darren Peterson showing his skills at both ends of the floor. Peterson getting them back in it. Coach is fired up.
Fireballing.
Darren Peterson, not just a gifted offensive player, a pretty good defensive player as well.
Well, Emmanuel Sharp doesn't come back to the ball. He lets the ball come to him, and Peterson just shot the gap. That's 2 steals for Peterson, both of which have led to buckets in transition. And if Kansas can get a stop and a score and go into halftime with this a 1-possession game, what a win after a really difficult offensive first half.
Houston has not scored a point in over 3 minutes. Jackson hits the deck. Uzan is open. And a foul is called on the dunk attempt.
Nobody put a body on Chris Cenac Jr. He just came in from the wing and jumped right over Darren Peterson.
The foul is on Bedunga, his second, preventing the dunk by Cenac.
Just a free run to the basket.
Cenac is having himself quite a half. And Bedunga's going to sit after he picks up his second. He averages about 9.5 per game. And he has blown by that. He's got 15 already.
Now, Kansas can go 2 for 1 here, but you want to make sure you get a good shot. It's just not any shot.
Peterson guarded by Sharp.
An excellent defender.
Peterson misses the 3, out of bounds to Houston. And a 3-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock.
And what that means is that Houston can take it all the way to the end of the shot clock. That will give them some time for an offensive rebound, but likely not enough time for Kansas to take it the other way.
Flemings saying, wait, guys, wait, don't start yet. Look at the clock.
This is a big defensive possession for Kansas.
Now Flemings looks to get it going, and that's going to be called a foul in the act of shooting. And Flemings will get 3.
Smart play by Kingston Flemings. Bill Self not happy with it.
What do you think? I mean, Flemings was trying to do exactly that.
Yeah, well, it's a smart play.
Yeah. You can hear Kansas fans don't love it. 84% shooter on the line, has 2 more. You know, this freshman class, not only do we see them often as the most talented players on the floor, often they're the savviest and the most poised players on the floor at times as well. Really remarkable this year.
Got to stay with Peterson here.
Council. Jackson running out of time.
Offensive foul. Just that right arm came out right into the chest of Kingston Flemings to pick up the offensive foul. Nice job by Flemings to move his feet and stay in front.
So Flemings got a call on Jackson at one end, and then Jackson the offensive foul at the other end, and now 0.6 of a second remain as the Cougars inbound. And that'll bring the first half to a close. Not the way the Jayhawks wanted to end that half after they had fought their way back into it. Thanks to Kingston Flemings, it's now an 8-point lead. Chris is with Kelvin Sampson.
Coach, what have you thought about the defensive execution so far?
Our defense is good. We're getting in the gaps. Peters has made a couple of lone threes. You know, he's a great player, so he's going to do that. You know, Kansas has great positional length. They have great size, and they're switching everything. And unless you can get by them off the bounce, they're going to give you problems. So we're going to have to figure something out and get the bond to paint a little better.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
An 8-point lead for the Cougars at halftime here for the second semifinal as these teams look to advance to the championship game tomorrow night. The Arizona Wildcats await. Chris Cenac Jr., the big story in the first half. Houston leads. The Sargento halftime report. Reese, Seth, and J-Will.
Dan, thank you very much. We are glad to have you with us on the Sargento halftime report. What a night it's been in the Big 12. A thriller in the first semifinal. Arizona advancing. We'll show you the highlights of that coming up in just a moment. Got some fabulous freshmen in this game. Chris Cenac's outstanding. He sort of took the show away for a while there in the first half.
Well, Kingston Flemings had 8 points, and everybody talks about him on the drop boards, but Chris Cenac Jr. is another guy that will go in the lottery if he decides to leave for the draft. 3 or 4 from the three-point line, and one of his things that he's able to do is extend the floor off dribble penetration, and the guards are able to find him in a variety of ways. 15 points, 6 rebounds, but also 3 or 4 from the three-point line.
He's a different front court player than Kelvin Sampson usually plays with. This guy's a stretch forward and also rebounds the ball and is active and alert. When I look at this Kansas team, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because they don't need to play to and through Darren Peterson, but he's got to be more involved offensively. They got to look to get him the ball in the flow of offense, and he's got to be more aggressive. When he's aggressive, he is very hard to guard. Little pitch back right here, he's going to knock down that 3. He's got to work harder off the ball. He's got to run the court harder so he can get out in transition and knock down jumpers like these. But they also, within the flow of the offense, they got to do a better job of screening for him. He's got to do a better job of reading screens. Has 2 steals, leads to this transition basket. But he needs to work harder and compete harder offensively to get shots within the flow of the offense.
Isn't that scary? Because that is the true reality of the situation. Yet he has 12 points, so he has
almost
so much
half of their points.
But you wonder, like, he could do so much more because of his talent.
Yes.
Yeah. And he'll need to in the second half if Kansas is going to advance to the championship game. They will get Arizona, and what a finish between Iowa State and Arizona. Milan Momcilovic, this is why he hits 50%. Jaden Bradley just maybe as clutch as anybody in college basketball.
He's absolutely incredible at the end of his shot goal. But how about Taylor Lipsy? He was out of this game. He hurt his ankle of some sort. Yet he steps up and knocks down that deep, deep 3. But Jaden Bradley, he's Mariano Rivera. That dude is just a closer.
I call game.
So did Bradley. First buzzer beater in the Big 12 tournament in 11 years, 82-80. The final as Arizona advances to the championship game again, and they do not get there. They got off to a slow start, and Anthony Del Orso came off the bench with a 28-point performance. He's got 4 20-point games this season, all of them against ranked opponents. I am told that Del Orso, translated literally, is of the bear. Well, he was a beast, I'll tell you that for sure. He was dominant. Clemson and Duke highlights coming up.
This halftime report is presented by Sargento Natural American Cheese. Welcome back to the Sargento halftime report.
Duke's down a couple of players on defense, but they still guard. They held Clemson to 22% shooting in the first half. Dame Sarr knocks down the 3.
Not only does he take off the head of the snake defensively, but also can extend the floor and shoot from the outside. And John Shire has something special brewing. Even Caden Boozer getting in on the offensive action.
You saw Darren Harris hit a 3, then Caden Boozer, 9 points in the first half, and Cam almost has a double-double in the first half. Duke is rolling toward the championship game. Virginia awaits. Georgetown and UConn. The Con had no trouble. Braylon Mullins turnaround jumper, and then what he does well,
Berlamone, just a big-time scorer. Reminds me of Tyler Hero a little bit, but this is an hors d'oeuvre because the main course is tomorrow. St. John's, UConn, Patino Hurley, Madison Square Garden.
Is that store south, or is that more Rick Pitino's home now?
I think you're going to have to
bought out the whole garden.
I think St. John's is going to be trying to snap an 0 for 24 streak from the field goals from the last game. Was catch up with Ole Miss and Alabama. Ole Miss is one of the great stories of Champ Week. Alabama fell behind early. Taylor Bowen lays it in. Now after a pair of Alabama free throws, Ole Miss is going to miss. Now, surely after Ole Miss losing 12 of 13 games in the regular season, the Cinderella run's about to end. LeBaron Fileon's going to hit the shot. No, he's not. Aiden Sherrill gets it blocked. Patton Pinkins. And for the third straight day, Ole Miss beats a tournament team, and they're alive.
80 minutes away from punching that ticket.
You never sue. You never know.
This halftime report is presented by Sargento Natural American Cheese.
The most exciting day of the year, the day that teams hear their names called for the NCAA tournament.
There are some really difficult choices to make. They look like Final Four good.
When teams like that come into a tournament, these dudes expect to win and try to make something special happen.
We are ready to roll on bracketology. Be interesting to see where UCLA winds up. I want you to look at Donovan Dent. 11 assists tonight. Last 7 games, including this one. 76 assists and 4 turnovers.
Ballin'.
How is that possible?
And all UCLA players made it to the end of the game so far.
That's why he made a lot of money in the portal.
There's still 8 minutes to go. Sparty trying to hang on. Here come the Jayhawks. Second half not far away as Houston has the lead here 33-25. Second half's coming up. This has been the Sargento halftime report.
Absolutely free.
Welcome back to ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the Phillips 66 Big 12 Men's Basketball Tournament. Darren Peterson got off to a very hot start and had a very good half. 12 points, almost half of Kansas's points, a couple of steals as well. But the real story in the first half, Chris Cenac Jr., the freshman, 3 threes and a game-high 15 points. Welcome back, Dan Schulman, Jay Bill. As you watch the game, Jay, it feels like it's being played the way Houston wants it to be played.
Well, physical, but Houston's defense has been on point. They've held Kansas to 6 of 26 from the field. Most of those have been tough twos. In fact, 2 of the buckets that Kansas have are in transition off of steals. Darren Peterson steals. That's 5 points they got off of that. Other than that, it's been nothing.
Let's take a look now at our experts at work, brought to you by Principal.
Well, Darren Peterson has been the lion's share of this offense for Kansas. He had 12 points in that first half, knocked down 2 of 3 from the three-point line. He's 3 of 6 overall. And he's had a couple of steals, both of which led to baskets. One by him, the other by Trey White. But Houston, early on, Kansas was laying off of Chris Cenac Jr., and he really made them pay. Cenac Jr. had 3 threes, 3 of 4 from 3, knocked down 5 of his 9 shots overall to go with 6 rebounds, 15 points from the freshman from New Orleans.
Arizona awaits the winner. Kingston Flemings certainly had some big moments in the first half for the Cougars as well. Chris Budden had a chance to catch up with Bill Self.
He said, we got to stop being so scared offensively. We've had trouble with Houston switches, but in general, we're not getting into the paint. I want to see our guys drive to the rim. So defensively, while it might have looked ugly, other than what Cenac Jr. has done, we've done a pretty good job.
And they're in the game. They could have been a little bit closer had they executed better in the last minute of the first half. But they were down double digits early. It's 8 now with 20 minutes remaining.
I mean, this is a possession basketball game, and you can't be disappointed with your defense when you give up only 33 points. But it's been the lack of offense that's been the problem.
Peterson very aggressive on the first possession. It stays with Kansas. And interesting, Jay, Elmarco Jackson is starting the second half for the Jayhawks instead of Bryson Tiller.
Just try to get a little more quickness out on the floor, get some of these drives. Now over the top to Badunga. What a block.
Cenac got him. Badunga had it, but now a foul call comes in, and it'll be on Cenac.
One of the things that Kansas did in the first half that I think was a hindrance to their offense, there was a lot of catch and hold instead of catch and drive or catch and pass. And they need to run offense with a much better pace in this second half.
Peterson deep in the corner, hits Council. Driving on Flemings. Tough shot. The kind of shot we saw them take a lot in the first half.
Kansas just finding it hard to shed that first defender. But you're not going to get anything off the first action. It's got to be the second action. Here's the switch with Badunga switching out on a guard, and he is quick enough to stay with a guard.
Flemings letting that shot clock wind down. Now he drives him, and he beat him to the glass.
Boy, how beautiful was that? Got it up quickly before Badunga could react with that left hand.
Flemings now with 9, and the lead is 10. Badunga blocked by Tugler.
What a recovery by JoJo Tugler.
And then a 3 for Emmanuel Sharp. His first points of the game, and early on again. Bill Self wants a timeout.
Emmanuel Sharp had a quiet first half, but freed up in transition. And Kingston Flemings going to that left hand to get it off the glass before Badunga could react. And that is as quick a release as you're going to see.
App.
Some guys live for those moments.
It is the best time of the year.
Bring it to the tournament.
Unbelievable. Champ week, nothing like it.
Nothing like Champ Week. Whether you're a fan of watching the big multi-bid conferences like the Big 12 and others, or the one-bid leagues, Jay, there are always stories written that people will never forget, where somebody finds themselves in that moment, comes up big, and leads their team to the dance.
Well, Darren Peterson just tried a really difficult shot against multiple defenders, but Kansas looking for anything to try to get a bucket. But if you're taking that degree of difficulty a shot, it's going to be a long, long second half.
It was 8 at the break. It's 13 now.
Kansas switching just about every screen and exchange.
So Council finds himself on Cenac. Flemings, of all people, with the offensive rebound, and he gets fouled.
Darren Peterson just didn't put a body on him. Trey White was trying to block out JoJo Tugler, and Darren Peterson just turned to try to rebound instead of hitting somebody, and Kingston Flemings was able to get that offensive rebound.
Number 2 on Peterson. A little more Champ Week talk. Let's go to Nashville, the SEC tournament, and there's stuff going on right now. It's chalk up top. It is not down below. Ole Miss has knocked off Alabama by 1 to advance to the semis, where they will take on the winner of Arkansas and Oklahoma. The Sooners playing much better lately as they try to move into the semis.
Every bubble team in America is rooting for the higher seeds in all these tournaments. If you're sitting on the bubble, you don't want to see Ole Miss crash through and steal one.
The lead now 15. And it's Houston ball again.
Everything contested at the rim with Tugler and Cenac Jr. Those long arms, they are covering up the rim.
Tugler one-on-one with Badunga. Too strong, much too strong off the glass. Back comes Peterson. Council the lob. Badunga's got to come down with it, and Tugler called for a foul, and that will be number 3 on JoJo Tugler.
Just that penetration into the lane opens things up, but it was only in transition where they could get downhill and get into the lane. In the half court, it has been really difficult for Kansas because they are not moving the ball. It's catch and hold too much.
So Tugler out, Khalifa Sacco into the game for Houston. Had some good minutes last night in the quarterfinal win over BYU. Badunga going right after him, but then kicks it back out. Peterson, and a foul. Sacco swatted it way out of bounds. Boy, Peterson is being ultra aggressive here early in the second half.
Well, he has to be. He has to take over in this second half. Showing some strength. Sacco knocking it out of bounds. The referee said it was still going up. It was awfully close to the rim.
.13th point of the night for Darren Peterson, so he's now got, at this moment, exactly half of the Jayhawks points.
Darren Peterson has such a pure stroke. If he gets any opening, Kansas going to bring some full court pressure.
Pressure doesn't seem to bother Kingston Flemings much at all.
He doesn't really change expression, does he?
Plays at his pace, but he's got that burst of speed when he wants it. Cenac left it short. Tries again. One more time, and he draws a foul. Boy, Kelvin Sampson has to be loving the effort he is getting from Chris Cenac Jr. here tonight.
And that was a beautiful shot fake once he got into the middle of the lane. Gave it a little up fake, and Paul Mbia left the floor. And you're just a bit off balance, and you're going to have to foul.
Now a double-double already in this game for Cenac. Interesting how Bill Self started the second half with a much smaller lineup. Jackson in instead of Tiller. That didn't go well. Called the timeout. And now he's got Badunga and Mbia in there together. Mbia, not a guy who plays very much at all. And normally when he's in there, it's in Badunga's spot. But they're out there together, but not for long. Mbia now heading, or is he? Well, he thought he was going out, but it's not him. It's Council.
But Mbia came into the game when Sacco came into the game for Houston.
Peterson threw it away.
He went up to shoot it and changed his mind.
Uzan too strong. And look at Cenac again.
There's just so much fight in this Houston team.
Fleming. Sacco trying to gather it. Tips it to Sharp. Flemings is open. How about that?
Well, you talk about an unscripted play. The hustle by Sacco, and it turns into an open three for Kingston Flemings in the right corner.
This is usually the case in a Cougars game, but they just have so much fight in them. They're winning the battles against the Jayhawks. Where will the offense come from for Kansas? They've got 2 points in the second half. It'll stay at this end of the floor with the Jayhawks, but Jay, it has been all Houston here early in the second.
And it's been all Houston's defense. They have made every catch difficult for Kansas, and any shot that Kansas gets is contested.
Kingston Flemings is joining Chris Cenac in the Having a Big Night Club. He's now got 14 to go with Cenac's 17, and it's all Cougars. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. Bradley trying to do it himself. He does! He hit it! Jaden Bradley appears to have won it for Arizona. And after a quick trip to the monitor, the officials confirmed he did get the shot off in time. The Big 12 Player of the Year, Jaden Bradley, with a sensational shot to end a sensational game. What a performance by both teams. Arizona beats Iowa State to move into tomorrow night's championship game.
As high a level game as you will see in basketball. Iowa State and Arizona battled down to the last tick on the clock. And it was a game of great shot making. Milan Momcilovic of Iowa State, Anthony Del Orso, and then Jaden Bradley down the stretch making those 2 huge buckets.
You joked about Momcilovic and Del Orso maybe playing a game of horse to settle it. If we had done that, we might still be watching the 2 of them out there. That's how hot they were in this game.
I wouldn't have minded that. Good shot fake.
Jackson, boy, look how quickly they recover, but then 2 of them backed off. Jackson can't make them pay.
Boy, Houston was very fortunate there that Elmarco Jackson missed that shot because Kingston Flemings left the ball. You don't ever do that.
The foul on Sacco, and now for the first time tonight, Cole Rosario is into the game for the Jayhawks. He is a freshman from Miami, was a starter at the beginning of the season, but has really fallen out of the rotation with some exceptions here and there. But if you're Bill Self, Jay, you got to try something, right? Look how cold they are at the beginning of each half.
Yeah, you have to find a spark, and Kansas having a tough time just getting the ball inbounds. This has been a rough night for the Jayhawks, courtesy of Houston and their outstanding defense.
About 3 weeks ago, Kansas beat Houston. Now that was at Allen Fieldhouse, but they beat them by 13.
Houston has dictated everything in this game, especially on the defensive end with their ball pressure and their physicality and rim protection.
Flemings to Sharp. Can't hit the 3, and over the back is Mercy Miller.
But that's a foul I don't think Kelvin Sampson minds. You went over the back, but they're going for the ball.
Kelvin Sampson has won 12 Coach of the Year awards in 5 different leagues. And he's also won 826 games in his career.
His first job was Montana Tech.
That's right.
You know the nickname of the Montana Tech team?
You've done this before, and I missed it last time. I give.
The Ore Diggers.
There you go.
Tough shot.
McDowell, no. White tries to get in there for the rebound, but it's Houston ball. Montana Tech, Washington State, Oklahoma, Indiana, Houston. And what an incredible 12-year run it has been for him at Houston. Their record in the last 6 years is 187 wins and 29 losses.
Well, Kelvin Sampson resurrected the Houston program. Guy Lewis took Houston to multiple Final Fours when he was there, but it had fallen off. And Hoff-Heinz Pavilion, now the Fertitta Center, is a beautiful building now, but it had fallen on some tough times. But Kelvin Sampson has made Houston into a powerhouse.
Chris.
And it begins with culture and toughness that's built during their summer workouts. There's a 4-week stretch in June when the players come in, including the freshmen, and they get a shock at what it's like to play and work out for Kelvin Sampson, whether it's the Versa climber or they're in the sand throwing the medicine balls. Then you got to run a mile. The average mile for this Houston team, 5 minutes, 20 seconds.
Wow. And maybe it's all of that work done in the summer, Jay, that made a possession like we just saw offensively for the Cougars come to fruition. Again, a loose ball that are winning every battle, a kick out, and then Flemings hits a 3. They just refuse to get beaten in the toughness or effort department.
Well, what Chris Budden's talking about, Kelvin Sampson wants to know who he can really trust when things get tough, so he makes things tough on them. Kelvin Sampson has a drill that he runs. Here's that shot by Kingston Flemings. But he has a drill he runs called the bubble drill. They basically put a lid on the basket and they play. And so every shot literally is a missed shot in that drill. And they just fight for the ball, rebound. It's physical. That's one of the best rebounding drills I've ever seen.
Back to Chris.
That drill that Jay's talking about was a welcome to Houston moment from Uzan last year. He ended up suffering a broken nose diving after the ball.
How about that offensive rebound by Cole Rosario? Again, this Houston toughness, there's a foul on Sharp, and he knows it. None of it happens by accident. There are teams, and then there are programs, and there are many of them. But Kelvin Sampson has built a program, a culture, and the faces change, the names change, although they have very few guys transfer out from Houston. But year after year, they just have great results.
I think it's Karen Sampson's cookies that make everybody stay.
I think you might be right. Again, look at how tough the shots are. By the way, Cole Rosario, although he didn't hit that, has come in and done some really good things. He's flying all over the place, getting offensive rebounds. He's got some energy out there right now, and I'm sure Bill Self wants to see more of that from his other guys.
Well, he's a bouncy athlete and a really good offensive rebounder. Great second jump.
How about the range on Emmanuel Sharp?
There are not enough timeouts for Bill Self to be able to stop this. I mean, Kansas just cannot score against this Houston defense.
Peterson, no. Kansas is 0 for 15 from the field. 0 for 16 from the field in the second half. They have 2 points that have come at the line. 8 minutes, Jay, without a field goal. Sacco back to Uzan. The Cougars never in a rush at the offensive end.
Well, they don't need to be now. You don't want to take the air out of it, but take some time.
Around and out for Sharp. And Peterson the rebound. Look at the speed on Council. And a foul is called, but what an effort by McCarty, and you hope he is not hurt. McCarty is down and is in a lot of pain and is grabbing his left wrist.
You talk about not giving up on a play. Hope he's okay.
Yeah. McCarty is up, but he is in pain.
At Wendy's.
Tom and Zubin here in the studio. Duke moving towards an ACC championship matchup with Virginia.
They're moving rapidly right now. Rapidly. All right. Cam Boozer, phenomenal, playing at such a high level. Great defense tonight.
UCLA has just knocked off Michigan State. This is Brandon Williams, but who's hotter right now than one Donovan Dent? 23, 6, and 12 guys.
Playing so much better than he did at the beginning of the season. That is a big win for the Bruins. Meanwhile, here is Chase McCarty. It is a left wrist situation. He made a spectacular play, an unbelievable effort to get back and get a piece of that shot, although a foul was called. And then when he came down, it appeared he tried to brace his fall with his wrist. Chris, what do you know?
He was already dealing with some wrist pain, which is why it was wrapped earlier. He's taken off the wrap right now. I'm actually told by the team that he's probable to return.
Wow. He is clearly in a lot of pain. We could see during the timeout just the way he was constantly moving around, shuffling his feet, turning left, turning right. But, you know, the significance of the game and the adrenaline is flowing, and we hope it is not too serious. As Chris said, his wrist was wrapped beforehand, so this is an aggravation of an existing situation, hopefully not too serious.
And those 2 free throws by Melvin Council Jr., that's the first time Kansas has seen the ball go through the net since halftime warmups.
Bill Self has brought Jaden Dawson into the game, a senior who transferred in from Loyola Chicago. He's just trying anybody he can think of right now to try to get something going.
Got to switch.
Uzan over McDowell. Tipped out of bounds by Sacco. Tugler returns. Flemings returns.
Houston has developed a nice rotation. You know, since we saw them at Texas Tech. You know, McCarty is playing more. We hope that wrist is going to be okay. Sacco's playing more minutes. Mercy Miller is playing more minutes. And that allows their starters a little bit more rest, so they don't have to pace themselves at all. They certainly haven't paced themselves in this one. This has been a clinic.
Council into Badunga, and it will eventually go in, and that is the first made field goal of the second half for the Kansas Jayhawks.
Over 9 minutes without a field goal. That is remarkable. And Badunga, that's just his 3rd point of the game.
Nobody other than Darren Peterson has more than 5 for Kansas. Uzan, and taken away by Council.
This is where Kansas needs to get something done, is in transition. But Houston does a great job of getting back.
Badunga. Nice move, and he'll head to the line.
Badunga with a quick face-up. He just inside pivot toward the baseline. He always wants to try to get to that left hand.
3rd on Cenac.
Flory Badunga has had a great season.
First team All Big 12 and the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Well, you know what this is building to, and it is almost upon us. Selection Sunday is just a couple of days away. It all starts at 6 Eastern with SportsCenter on ESPN. Reese and the guys look to the men's field of 68 as the brackets are announced, followed by bracketology and the breakdowns of each region. Then at 8, the women's field of 68 is revealed, followed by bracketology at 9. It's all on ESPN and the app.
You know, Dan,
Shulman and one of the guys.
You know, Dan, we have names. Wouldn't kill you to say them out loud.
I keep asking you to write them down so I can remember them. How many L's in Billis? Past the midway point of the second half. And a foul underneath. Of course, Jay Billis, Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg. There are guys.
Was that so hard?
Surprisingly low.
Leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
I'll try it again tomorrow. At the line, Mercy Miller.
He had some good minutes against BYU. Played 14 minutes, wound up with 6 points in that game. The thing I like about Mercy Miller, he's willing to compete when he gets on the floor.
Whatever seed these Cougars get, and Joe Lunardi's got him as a 2 right now, you don't want to play them. Nobody walks out of a game with the Cougars and says, man, that was fun. They are a tough matchup physically and mentally. Council no. Cenac the rebound. The Cougars had a 3-game losing streak in February, but keep in mind, Big 12 backloaded schedule for the top teams. The losses were at Iowa State, at home to Arizona, and then at Kansas. Since then, 4 wins in a row, and certainly looks like they're on their way to their 5th. And if they play like this, they're a tough out against anybody. Tough drive, and Uzan will go to the line.
Milo Uzan is underrated as a player. He's all Big 12 honorable mention, but he's been playing more off the ball with Kingston Flemings taking over more ball handling duties. But you take a look at Houston. I mean, they were #1 seed projected a little bit earlier in the year. I mean, they couldn't be projected as worse than a 2, but they're legit. Their defense is stifling.
You know, if they're a 2, they're not going to wind up where Arizona is as a 1. So you figure they would wind up with either Duke or Michigan or Florida if those are the other 1 seeds.
One of the things that Houston does really well is they're a good free throw shooting team. And at the end of games, and they do play in a lot of clay, and you say that and they miss one, but at the end of games, that makes you feel awfully good when you got players that can knock down free throws.
77% from the line as a team.
Yeah, that's best in the Big 12, one of the best in the country.
And it's better for the guys who are likely to be shooting them at the end of the game, guys like Sharp and Flemings. Dawson steps in, cannot get a look. The recovery by Houston on defense has been outstanding tonight. Council got his miss. Peterson 3 for 10, 14 points. Jackson lost it. Peterson. And we have seen a lot of possessions like that where Houston just doesn't give Kansas any opportunity to get a good look.
Help side defense is great. They move as the ball moves. Everything is contested, every pass. They force you further out on the floor. And the degree of difficulty of Kansas' shots has been really high.
Tugler, no. Good defense by Badunga. Council in transition. And that basket is going to count. Tony Padilla saying when the Houston defender touched the ball, it was kind of being bobbled, so it's not a held ball, still a live ball, so that's a good basket. Look at this battle between Tugler and Badunga. And a timeout on the floor. Houston up 20. And getting closer by the minute to a date with Arizona for a championship tomorrow night.
Well, Kingston Flemings, the freshman from San Antonio, Texas, is a bucket getter. He has got a matchup in Flory Badunga. He felt he could drive, and he got it off the backboard as quick as possible. And then the poise to stop on a dime and hit the mid-range shot. And then in a scramble situation, he leaks out to the three-point line to hit a three. He's got 17 points in this game. It's been an efficient basketball game from Kingston Flemings. And when he was in high school, his team practiced early in the morning. Kelvin Sampson, his son Kellen, an assistant coach, would get up at dark 30 to go watch him practice. And Kelvin said, we had to get up even earlier because Kellen had to get coffee. I don't need coffee. Let's just get to practice.
Kelvin threw his son under the bus. And Kingston Flemings is outscoring Kansas all on his own here in the second half. But Chris, he's not the only talented player in the family.
Yeah, that basketball runs through the siblings because his younger sister Bella actually yesterday just named Texas Gatorade Player of the Year, same award that Kingston won a year ago, and she has already signed to play for Kara Lawson and Duke next year.
How about that? You know, he didn't, when you go back to the beginning of the season and you started hearing the hype about this freshman class, and obviously deservedly so, he wasn't up there near the top. He has, whether you want to say, you know, exceeded expectations or just burst onto the scene, that might be too strong. Everybody knew he's a really good player, but Jay, he's been way better than a really good player this year.
Well, he's projected as a top 5 pick in the draft, and in another year that might be too low. But Kingston Flemings, and he's continuing to work on his three-point shot.
Boy, nobody getting in front of Uzan, who had a clean look, just kind of walked it up the court to take a three, but missed it.
And Chris Cenac Jr. with another rebound, especially another offensive rebound. He's got 14 rebounds on the game.
To go with 17 points. Shot clock at 2. So Flemings puts it up out of bounds to the Jayhawks. 6:41 to go. Mercy Miller checking back in. It'll be JoJo Tugler.
Somebody better come back and, well, there's Melvin Council Jr. Come back and get the ball.
Darren Peterson still in the game. He has played 27 minutes so far tonight. Played 37 last night.
Kansas just can't turn the corner to get into the lane.
Is it great footwork, defensive principle? What is it that makes Houston so tough to get around?
All those things combined, but their help side, they're in gaps, so you're driving into bodies all the time. All you see are white jerseys.
Houston, or Kansas rather, is 2 for 24 in the second half. And in the game, they're shooting 20%, 10 for 50. I wonder if a Kansas team has ever shot 20% for a game.
I think one of Naismith's teams had a rough night. You know, there have only been 8 coaches in the history of Kansas basketball.
But those peach baskets had notoriously
they were
tough rims. Though.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know. Finish your thought. I know where you're going on the 8 coaches. Go ahead.
Just 8 coaches in the history of this program. And so many of them are in the Naismith Hall of Fame. And obviously, Dr. James Naismith, they named the whole thing after him.
Well, Peterson is going out as well. So Jackson went out. Now Badunga's coming in and White's going out. Peterson just went to the bench. That could be it. Don't know. But 5:54 to go. Obviously, you know, Kansas is still going to get a good seed and still have high hopes for the NCAA tournament. And they still want the best version of Darren Peterson going forward.
Well, the only good news from this beatdown is that Kansas gets to go home and they get several days of practice. They find out where they're going in the NCAA tournament. Nobody's going to be thinking about them, and they can just get to work.
Projected as a 4 seed at the moment by Joe Lunardi. Flemings, nope. And the rebound to Council. Rosario with a pretty good look. It will drop.
Well, Cole Rosario, that's his 16th three on the season. He is a good shooter. In fact, early in the season, you mentioned he was a starter, but he was too easy to speed up. And as he gets better, and he will, he's going to be a really good player.
How about that play? Sharp to Sacco.
Well, you get into the lane, Flory Badunga has to help uphill, and that opens up the lob for Sacco.
Rosario gets another look. And maybe this might help him and in turn Kansas going into the NCAA tournament.
Well, it'll definitely help Rosario. And there are times when late in games when it might be a blowout where guys come in and have some success, and that can give them a little bit of springboard to having more success in the future. So those are big moments for Cole Rosario.
Flemings driving into the lane and draws another foul. You can see he is not the biggest guy in the world, but he is not afraid about getting in there and getting some contact, taking a shot, getting to the line.
But he's not small. I mean, he's 6'4", and he's got real bounce. And when he gets into the lane and gets to the rim, he can rise up.
And what a luxury for Kelvin Sampson to have both the Flemings and then, you know, such an experienced player in Milos Uzan too, where either one of them really can handle the ball. If one's not in there, the other can take care of it. And then you got another guy who it feels like has been there for a million years in Emmanuel Sharp, such a big part of the, you know, the culture in this Houston program. What a backcourt. Tipped by Rosario.
Really good offensive rebounder that has another step on his ladder. But to your point, Milos Uzan had the ball in his hands all the time last year. But how would you expect to lose L.J. Cryer and get a scorer like him in Kingston Flemings?
Miller with a nice finish.
Beautiful shot fake, got Rosario off the floor, and an easy layup.
Inside 4 minutes to go, all Cougars. Dawson, no.
And Jaden Dawson, 12 of his 17 field goals coming into this game were from 3. So he's a guy you got to make him put it on the deck.
Flemings again. The range of Sharp.
There is not a shot too deep for Emmanuel Sharp. He just flicks the ball. He gets it off so quickly. It's not a high release, but it's just so fast.
That is his third three of the game and his 299th of his career. He is already the Houston record holder for a career. That's a lot of threes. Isaiah Harwell back out to Fleming. Shot clock at 4. He'll hit it.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, Melvin Council Jr. was all over him. He is just a bucket.
He's got 21 now on the night. Projected as the 5th pick in the NBA draft. And Badunga is fouled with 2:29 to go. It started off with Chris Cenac Jr. He dominated the early minutes of the game, but as the game has worn on, Kingston Flemings, as he often does, has just taken over on his way to leading the Cougars to the final. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66. Proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
Hey there, Briscoe Needs getting set for SportsCenter. If you hit a buzzer beater, you join the show. Jaden Bradley stops by after that shot for Arizona, sent him to the Big 12 title game.
You know who else got in the mix? Kevin Durant got in that game winner party. And Kyle Schwarber stops by after Team USA moves on in the World Baseball Classic. All of that coming up on SportsCenter.
Guys, thank you very much. 2:29 from now. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Chris Budden. And Houston is on its way to the championship game at a date with the top seed, the Arizona Wildcats, after that unbelievable first game. Jaden Bradley hitting the game winner as time expired. Some long faces for some of these Jayhawks, but as you said, got a few days to get back in the gym, regroup, and see where they're going for the tournament.
Did I hear that right from Michael and Nicole, that the Team USA won in the World Baseball Classic?
You did hear that right.
Who'd they beat?
They didn't say that part. Now, I think 5-3 in baseball is a, there it is. Dan Schulman from Toronto, Ontario. Thanks for spelling it right, guys. That won't be forgotten. 5-3, that's good effort for Team Canada, don't you think?
I love that you love moral victories.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you kind of got it, you know. They had second and third, nobody out in the 7th inning. Couldn't get any runs in. That's what somebody told me anyways. I was very focused here. But congratulations to the United States. The USA will play the Dominican Republic. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Dominican Republic in the semifinals.
I think most fans have been distracted by the wins by the USA hockey team, both men and women.
Cut his mic. I'll take it home. Sami's Calderon into the game for Kansas. Paul Embiid is back in. Look at Rosario. I mean, he doesn't get it, but he has been flying all over the court. And if anything good comes out of this for Kansas, maybe it's that Rosario has earned some more looks and might be back in the rotation in the tournament.
Well, he's got 8 points and 4 rebounds in really limited minutes. And in fact, he's Kansas' second leading scorer in this game behind Darren Peterson.
Ramon Walker Jr. with a bucket and a big smile for the Cougars. Talk to me about Houston and Arizona.
Well, it's going to be a physical contest. And as you know, Arizona is so good in the paint, and it's going to be a paint battle and a rebounding battle.
Houston lost to Arizona in Houston February the 21st, 73-66. Time now for the player of the game, brought to you by Phillips 66, and it's Kingston Flemings. Just made the game his, took over the game, and dictated so much for the Cougars.
And I'm not sure he even broke a sweat. Kingston Flemings, he might be the most competitive player on a very competitive Houston team.
Yeah, that is saying something given who his teammates are. Good to see McCarty back in the game after what was obviously a very painful experience with that left wrist. And you can see he's got it wrapped up again. But they wouldn't let him go back in there unless he assured them he could. You know, you just hope when he wakes up tomorrow it's not feeling worse and that there's no further damage in there. At one point in this game, Jay, it was 29-25. Last minute or two of the first half. Kansas was right there. The last minute or so didn't go well. Houston went into the break up by 8 and then just dominated out of halftime. Giangallo in the game for Kansas.
The defense of Houston was just stifling all game long.
McCarty a steal.
Kelvin Sampson was telling Mercy Miller there's no reason to attack, just dribble out the clock. And I think one of the officials thought he was calling a timeout.
Right, I believe so too. So they'll take a violation because there's too much time left on the clock, but this is the way to do it. A lot more Kansas fans here at the beginning of the night than Houston fans, given that we're in Kansas City, obviously, but the vast majority of Jayhawks fans are long gone, and it'll be Houston and Arizona, two of the newcomers to the Big 12. Arizona in its second year in the league, Houston in its third year in the league. And remember, the Cougars won this tournament last year. They'll be trying to repeat what a game it should be tomorrow night, 6 Eastern, right here on ESPN. What a win for one of the very best programs in the nation. The final, Houston 69 and Kansas 47. We'll see you tomorrow night for the championship game between the Cougars and the Wildcats. For Jay Billis, Chris Budden, and our crew, I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching. SportsCenter is now.